So there's a retirement crisis unfolding in this country right now, and it's not anything new. It's been happening for decades. And the first problem is people are not saving and investing enough for retirement. You have to do more than save. You have to invest. And most people, they don't even know what an index fund is. Their money is not making money for them. If you keep it in a checking account, if you keep it in a savings account, it's not doing anything but losing value. The second thing is the price of everything around you is increasing dramatically. Go to a grocery store. You want to make some spaghetti tonight? Grab some noodles, look for some marinara sauce, and you will see that the prices have increased. A pound of ground beef. You want to grab that? Look at the price. It's nowhere near what it was last year. Then you have Social Security. Social Security is supposed to be their social safety net, but now we're in jeopardy of not even receiving our whole benefit. It's going to be reduced by 20% unless somebody does something in Congress, which is highly likely not to happen if you look at the gridlock that Congress is undergoing right now. So to address all of these issues, Senator Bernie Sanders introduced a bill called Pensions for All. And it kind of sounds a little pie in the sky. It sounds like overly ambitious. What are we talking about? Pensions for all? Yes, pensions for all. Right now, Americans, about 10% of them or less have a pension. These are people that either joined the military, doesn't matter the branch, Navy, Marine, Army, whatever. They joined the military, they did 20 years. Most of them don't even do that. It's something like 20% of the people that join the military actually stay the whole 20 years. But if you do it, you used to get 50% of your base salary. Now it's 40%. Which is, obviously not a good thing, but they pitch it like it's a good thing because now they're matching you with your TSP, whatever. The second thing is they were a member of the government. They were a federal employee or even county, state, city government. A lot of these government jobs, people turn their nose up at them. They say they're not worth anything, but they have a pension associated with that job. And then also you have some private companies, few and far between, but there are some private companies. Coca-Cola used to be one of them. USAA was one of them. They had pension plans. A lot of them phased out their pension plans because it was too expensive, but they had them. Some people still benefit from them. So this bill wants to ensure every U.S. worker has a pension. And they're drawing comparisons. If you read the bill, it draws comparisons with FERS. So FERS is the Federal Employee Retirement System. It's a 3-pillar system. Number 1 is the actual annuity amount, the pension amount. Number 2 is a thrift savings plan. Number 3 is Social Security. With those 3 pillars, you have FERS. That's what Senator Bernie Sanders wants every American to have. So they want the employer to either develop their own system or to fall into the current system right now, which only covers federal employees. So the way that it works is the employee, right? So if you were a federal employee within the last 10 years, you contribute 4.4% of your paycheck. So, if you get paid $10,000 a month, 4.4% would go into FERS. Now, the agency, the government, they actually contribute something like 17%. So it's a lot higher than what the actual employee is contributing. What is the average pension amount? It's about $2,500, somewhere around there, $2,500 a month. Now, if you're able to increase your salary by getting promoted as a federal worker, then your pension amount would increase. If you stay longer, if you serve longer than 20, 30 years, every year that it's pretty much every month past a certain point, you will have an increase in your pension. Now, most people start collecting this between 57 years old and 62 years old, just depending on your unique situation. When you came in, how many years of federal service do you have? Another thing is if you leave one agency, let's say you work at the Department of Justice this month, but then next year you want to work at the Department of Agriculture for whatever reason, the FERS kind of picks up and goes with you. So you're never disenrolled. You continue to pay into the system. You continue to credit years towards your retirement. Also under this bill, employers that fail to comply with having employees into FERS or a FERS-like system, they would be penalized. So what's proposed right now is $10 a day per employee, up to $500,000 a year for people that don't want to do it. Now, will this bill pass? No. you know as well as I do, this bill is not passing this year, probably not next year. It's more symbolic. It doesn't even have any co-sponsors. It's just Bernie Sanders shouldering it all on his lonesome as of right now. They're not going to get any Republican support. Republicans are typically not for government mandates, period. So they're more for the free market solution. You know what the free market solution is to this retirement crisis? It's the 401k and it's the IRA, the individual retirement account. Those two vessels. Despite having those two for many years, we still have over 6 million people that are 65 years old or older that are below the poverty line. Your grandparents or your friends' grandparents, or the grandparents of the community that you live in, they're below the poverty line. Maybe they weren't financially literate at the time, and that's why they didn't invest. Maybe life happened, an emergency occurred, and they had to take their nest egg, break it, and help out a family member, help out their kids. You know, things happen all the time. So there's a reason why we have millions of people in poverty right now. This bill is a potential solution to that. Another reason that Republicans probably do not like this bill is it would force companies to find the money. Now, they don't want to take away money from the shareholders, so they're going to have to increase products and services by 3, 4, or 5% by some estimations. Now, in this bill, it says that employers are prohibited from lowering an employee's wages. So let's say you were going to get hired at $70,000 a year. The employer looks at it and says, well, we have to give them FERS, so that's going to take 17% off of our profits. So let's go ahead and pay him $65,000 a year. That way we have the money available to contribute to his FERS. That's not supposed to happen either. Of course, we already have Social Security within this country. We talked about it potentially not having enough funding. But when you look at Social Security, it was never intended to replace all of your income in your retirement years. It was intended to replace something like 40%. 40%. The rest of it was supposed to come from savings or investments. Largely investments, but we just talked about this. People are not doing the investment part. So that's where the government steps in and tries to uplift millions of people. And what's the alternative? What are you going to do with them? You're going to let them suffer into poverty because they picked the wrong choice once upon a time? Is that the other choice for the country, is just to forget they exist and turn your back on them? Now, just because this bill is not passing anytime soon, it doesn't mean it was a waste of effort. We have seen countless bills when they're first introduced, they don't get any traction. They just they flounder in limbo for 4, 5, 6 years. Look at the act, the Violence Against Women Act. There was a Violence Against Women Act that was proposed back in the 90s, and it finally had enough traction after about 4 or 5 years to get enacted into law. Now, the whole thing behind that bill was to provide shelter for women that were domestically abused, to give law enforcement more training, to provide assistance and counseling. So that seems like a nonpartisan issue, but because it required taxpayer money, it required government assistance, there was a lot of pushback. It wasn't until there were a lot of notable events that occurred, high-profiled women that were coming out saying they were abused. It took several years, but ultimately it got passed. So this could be the beginning. I know a lot of people are rolling their eyes at this topic right now saying, what are you talking about? Pensions for all, never happening in the United States. Well, never say never. Things change at a rapid pace. I understand that we're under the Trump administration right now, and maybe for the next 3 years or so, it's never going to happen. But what about after 4, 5, 6 years? What about next decade? This could be the start of something that eventually occurs 10 plus years from now. So something to keep an eye on. Now, in addition to this, we have federal jobs that are dramatically changing. So we're seeing government jobs right now that are largely being looked at from a political lens. Like, what's your political ideology? Do you have the correct one? That will determine whether or not you're going to be a civil servant, at least right now. So if you want to know more information about that, check this video out next. Stay updated by signing up to the free newsletter down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.